Parents of Reddit, has anyone ever dated your child and changed them drastically? My son is recently engaged to a woman who is wonderful. Before he met her, he was living with his father and stepmother, helping them run a thrift store and selling some of his own handmade furniture. He wasn't making much money and I wasn't sure he had any real plans for his future. He kept saying he didn't really want a real job. After he met his now fiancée, he decided he did want a real job. His fiancée actually helped him find a job with the company where her uncle worked. That's how he got a job in marine transportation, where he has thrived and been promoted 3 or 4 times in 18 or so months. Before he met her, he swore he'd never have children. She already has 2 adorably children and he's terrific with them. He and his fiancée have apparently decided to have more. Before he met her, he regularly drank too much, smoked pot on a regular basis, as well as regular cigarettes. Because of her, he got his job, and because of his job, he no longer smokes pot, not allowed, and has greatly reduced how many cigarettes he smokes each day, only allowed in certain areas of the boat. He has also cut back substantially on how much he drinks. Before he met her, he was terrible with money, mostly because he didn't have any, owing money on his student loans, in debt to various family members, always overdrawn at his bank. Again, because of her, he got a job and now that he has a job, he pays his bills. He talks to and repays his creditors, and manages his money. I always believed he could be a productive person but he always got in the way of his own success. Being with her has helped him see what he can do and what he is capable of. Kudos to him for finding a great lady and congratulations to you for having a future daughter-in-law who'll respect you. My ex's mother pulled me aside and told me I saved her daughter's life. She was a rage addict on a horrible suicidal path. While dating me, a lot of things happened leading her to get sober. It had a lot to do with me and how much she hurt me through her using. She's been clean for over 3 years now. No longer together, but I will love that girl until the end of my life. I think her family will do the same to you. On a lighter note, I think most parents of teen boys will agree that there is a definite boost in personal hygiene when boys start dating. That or I know a bunch of previously nurgly teens. I like this word, nurgly. I'll have to file that one away to use in the future. I am of the opinion that once a person reaches a certain age, their experiences away from their parents change them the most. Kids don't grow up sitting on your couch, they grow up out having experiences in life. In my daughter's case, her first serious boyfriend and their subsequent breakup did change her. She has a much more mature attitude toward dating. She is much more careful about who she lets close, and far less apt to form crushes. In the past she had many male friends, and now she hardly has any. I think her bruised heart is telling her this crap's real and she needs to protect herself. Not a parent, but my sister had a guy who drastically changed her. A lot of this can be attributed to the drugs that he turned her on to, particularly M, but the changes were dramatic. She went from being a normal young girl to literally insane. She would throw things, spit, cuss at my parents, etc. It was one of the hardest times for both me and my family. It wasn't until years later that she was able to shake him, and then shake the drugs. She has been off of M for almost 1.5 years now, and I am so thankful to have my sister back. Still, there are some lasting effects that you can see in her psyche, such as her inability to trust and her quick temper. I'm obviously upset that she had to go through all that, but I couldn't be happier to have her back, for the most part. You're lucky you have her back. I lost my sister to age a decade ago. She's still alive, but the person in her shell is not my sister. Good luck to your sister on staying clean. It's hard and it's good she seems to have you to support her. Here's one. I'm 20 now and I've been dating my first GF since 16. When I met her I was a 300-pound basement-dwelling World of War crack addict. All I did was play WoW and eat before I met her. My grades were terrible. I went from high honors in middle school to repeating courses in HS. I graduated in the bottom 15%. I had it rough, divorced parents, poverty, medical issues, you name it. But then came along this cute little blonde girl who showed interest. Friends at first. We shared our lives and found out things were awfully similar. One day on the school bus of all places, I asked her out, and she said yes. The changes were slow at first. She pulled me away from woe, then she got me more active. As time progressed, the motivation came on its own. I started living a healthier life, lost 65 pounds, and turned around my grades. It doesn't stop there. I helped her too, since she was terribly depressed. My GF had no sense of direction or confidence. Once I did, I showed her the way. 4 years later we both attend the same community college, both have a 3.5++ GPA, and hold down full-time jobs. That's my story. I think that's really great. Keep it up. Not a parent. By my boyfriend's mom told me he's much nicer to his family now that he's dating me. I didn't know it, but apparently he used to be sarcastic, ungrateful, and unwilling to participate in anything. I think he's a great guy, but that was about the best compliment anyone's ever given me. My so's family has told me on several occasions how much he's changed since we started seeing each other, for the better. Before we dated he partied a lot, worked in a restaurant, generally led the college student life. I don't think they thought he was a bad guy or anything. He just wasn't focused. I was well out of college and had him on Friday, so bedtime came a lot earlier for me than him. And our schedules didn't really sync up since he worked a lot of nights. It got old real fast but didn't turn out how you would have expected. Working nights and weekends meant we didn't have many opportunities for spending time together, and I obviously wasn't going to quit my job and go to work in a kitchen so we'd have the same schedules. So he graduated from school, finally, obsessed over his resume, looked for real jobs and landed one. We moved in together, got a couple of dogs, planted a few vegetables, and worry about ridiculous things like mowing the grass. In short, he grew up. The thing that's funny to me is that I never tried to change him into a better version of himself. His progression came about because he wanted it. I don't like to think that I'm responsible for his maturation when people comment on it, but I am okay admitting that maybe I helped speed up the timeline. This is a really great, really humble perspective. Good for you too. I am not a parent, but I hope this counts anyway. My sister recently came out to my mom as bisexual. My mother has never had anything against people who aren't straight, but when my sister came out she was upset and kept telling my sister to try to change her mind and to look at boys instead of girls. So, she was obviously not comfortable with it. My sister had been talking a girl online who is 6 years older than her. My sister recently turned 19. One morning, she decided to tell my mom that she has a girlfriend who she had driven an hour to see twice when she told my parents she was going to hang out with her friends 20 minutes away. She said that she was going to see this girl again that day, and my mom was begging her not to go. Well, she did anyway. I usually take my sister's side when she gets into an argument with my mom, but this time I actually felt bad for my mom. I wouldn't want my daughter driving to see some older person she met online, especially when they were meeting at this girl's house and not a public place. Anyway, in terms of changes, this girl is jealous, and my sister wasn't allowed to come with me to get dinner. She wasn't allowed to go out for a family member's birthday, and she has been living with this girl and her mom for about a month now. She has pretty much said screw you to my family, which sucks because she and I were always super close. And my dad is nothing but wonderful, even though she's being a turd. She's changed a lot and only cares for her girlfriend now. I don't know if this makes sense. I'm just kind of rambling. She used to be a great sister, but now I feel like I'm an only child. My mom told me this one after I dated a guy that almost married me. Before him you were wound up so tight you could stick coal in your butt and make a diamond. After him you were so mellow you could have been an anti-anxiety ad. And I understand the first part. Not a parent, but my brother. He dated this girl for a while that was clingy and would insist on making him stay over at her house multiple nights in a row. Her mom took a liking to him, to the point where she would drive him to school and buy gifts for him regularly. Whenever he had second thoughts, her mom would convince him to stick around a little longer. It was a weird relationship that put a strain on him and my mother, and eventually he moved in with her. The mother started to obsess over my brother, and it became clear to us that she was living vicariously through her daughter's relationship with him. My mom finally put her foot down and told him to either come home or face having the locks changed on him. He decided he had it made over at his girlfriend's place, So my mom locked his room up while his girlfriend's mom was having a field day buying him clothes and gifts. It drove me crazy watching her luring him in like some kind of spider, while my mom was a virtual wreck about losing her son to some stranger that thought she knew him. This lasted for about 6 months, until finally my brother got tired of being smothered by both his girlfriend and her mother. He broke it off abruptly, and my mom joyously took him back. Through all this though, my brother has lost a lot of respect for my mom because he thinks she overreacted about the whole situation. He still acts entitled from time to time, and I don't feel nearly as close to him as I used to. This is sad for almost everyone involved. I asked my mom and this is her response. You already know what I'm going to say. Definitely changed you in both good and bad ways. Before him, you had some self-esteem issues, yeah, but afterwards you have been riddled with such crippling self-doubt and worry over whether you'll ever be good enough for someone else. Which for the record, you were too good for him to begin with. But I know you loved him and he did benefit you a little I suppose. You're more patient and understanding. You don't get angry as quick and you try to listen to other people more. I guess it's because was such a little crap and made you upset every other hour that you got scared of being yourself. You aren't the girl you were before him. I loved her and I love you, but they are definitely different people. I just hope the bad effects of him go away soon. Again, I'm late to the game, but my youngest daughter changed so much after she met her previous boyfriend, and not in a good way. His father was an addict, and so was he. He introduced my shy daughter to pills. She became a liar to some extent, and denies taking oxy, etc. But I know she does. She thinks it doesn't show, but I can tell. I'm not stupid. They have since broken up, but the habit is still with her. She thinks she cannot function socially unless she is on something. She's passed out after drinking with taking the pills, vomited many times on my sofa as I won't let her drive home to her dad's when she is like this. It breaks my heart that she is in so much denial when I try to talk to her about it. I'm a child of the 70s, so I am aware of what is going on. My youngest brother, 15-year age gap, was always a nice, bright kid, but he wasn't very scholarly or motivated, and when he went to university, he started to slip into a party lifestyle. Then he met his current girlfriend and she's transformed him into a highly motivated, high achiever, who studied like crazy in school, got high marks in a competitive program, and competes in triathlons. We hope he doesn't screw it up with her. She's lovely. Not a parent but rather the child. I began dating my ex around October of last year. She was my first real girlfriend and so I was quite happy. She had excellent work ethic and was mature in some ways. She cheated on me, so not that mature. I picked up on a lot of her good habits and was able to get A's and B's all year for the first time in high school. I got a job, joined the track team and began working out. She brought out the best in me considering I was content with smoking weed and sitting around all day. I still carry with me the habits I got from her. Sadly we broke up, but on to new and exciting things. Sorry if this isn't perfect. I wrote this while on the toilet at work. My ex's parents blame me for her descent into MP and prison, but she was into that crap and hiding it from me the whole time we were together. When we broke up she really let loose. Dropped out of college, etc. They think she would have been a college graduate and normal person if not for me, but they're wrong. She would have dropped out a year earlier if I hadn't been there. After dating my dietary intake went from no vegetables to all of them. My parents were dang impressed with her. I can't have a salad on its own though, but that's only because the SOS mum can cook really well. I read this as parents of Reddit. Have you ever dated your child and changed them drastically? It took me 3 tries to get it right. Well, coming from my pov, I was abused in a relationship when I was 16, just being a jerk, but eventually he came around and punched me in the face. I used to be rebellious and breaking out of my shell of shyness, going by the logic of hey, why not? I'm young, but that definitely made me grow up and realize not to date anyone for fun. Date someone I actually love and not some bad boy. My parents were upset a little to see me go through that. Not a parent, but my sister dated this guy about 2 years ago and it changed her so much, for the worse. Before she met this guy my sister was the nicest person ever. She would help anyone out and not expect anything in return. Super friendly, etc. Basically, this guy was a massive control freak. Doing stuff like checking her phone, making sure she is at work and not off with friends. Stuff like that. For some reason my sister didn't think any of this was bad. She ended up moving in with him. And actually, while me, my brother and my parents were at work, come home and get all her stuff out of the house. Then she started becoming a real bee. Calling my mum, demanding money, getting angry at my brother. My brother and sister are twins, so they are really close. When he would say this guy was a massive dong and she needs to move back home. She was even telling her longtime friends to frick off and everything. It got really bad. Eventually she did finally leave him, but it took my mum to basically cut her off completely for like 6 months. Yep. My oldest is adopted with childhood trauma and a brain injury. He also has a few other diagnoses. Basically, he didn't like the academic part of school. He loved the social aspect. Let's use math as an example. He claimed to get headaches doing math. He would throw his math book across the room if his support workers tried to get him to do his work, etc. His school gave up on him. Tried to put him in all non-academic courses. I wouldn't let them. I made them keep him in math and English at least. But a girlfriend he had started dating at this point evoked all the lovey-dovey first love gushiness. They discussed family heritage wedding rings after their first date. She also seemed to change him academically. He did study groups, did his homework, started the course by getting A's, ended the year with A's, B's and the honor roll, and now they are broken up. He is now dating a girl more into makeout sessions while her family smokes weed around all the kids. He also is more down to earth about teenage relationships, how relationships can have problems, can end, etc. If we said that while he dated his ex, LOL, he would have been highly offended and unforgiving. LOL. My ex's mom told me that I made her daughter the happiest she's ever seen her. She wasn't out late partying or seeing random guys just for sex. Now my ex is getting kicked out because she won't communicate at all with her family and dropped out of school with no remorse. My son was a good kid growing up. He had a real knack for electrical engineering and great hand-eye coordination. Then one day, he meets this real scummy dude. This guy was definitely into some illegal stuff, but I couldn't say what exactly, but I'm pretty sure he worked for the cartel. So they're going around and getting into trouble when they meet this really stuck-up girl, a spoiled princess type, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, my son falls head over heels for this girl, and of course, she's involved with even more illegal stuff than his now best friend. They start stealing things and destroying government property, real anti-establishment kinda stuff. Long story short, they found out they were long-lost twins. They helped overthrow the empire, and they burned my body on some forest moon November. Had me until the end. Well done. I used to be really close with my mom. When I moved, I would talk to her on the phone a few times a week. I liked being in touch with my family even if it was mostly through email. Started dating someone who only saw the negatives in my family. Constantly had bad, critical things to say about them, and later I realized to say about everybody. I didn't realize how consumed I was in the relationship, but I nearly completely stopped talking to my family for months. I was finally able to see them for Mother's Day, where I found out my mom really believed for some reason I didn't love her anymore. Hearing that just broke my heart. Heck, mum thinks my son is the best thing to happen to me ever. She adores him maybe even more than her own son. She also thinks that my son will make sure that I reach my full potential. If there's anyone who is the embodiment of perfection, it is him. Although it is a little annoying when she gushes about him, I can't help but chuckle. That one small decision of mine can bring such happiness and a sense of contentment to her. To be fair, my son is quite perfect. He has brought about a multitude of changes in me. I want to make him proud of me, so I strive really hard in whatever I do. I am also less rude and swear lesser. He has also brought about this sense of calmness and tolerance in me which wasn't even there before. Sometimes life drags you through crap to show you better times ahead. I'll add to the chorus of not a parent, but my nephew was in a bad spot. Drugs, lots of arguing with various family members, and starting to have run-ins with the cops. He met a girl that really helped turn his life around. The odd part is we feel she was out of his league. We keep waiting for her to dump him, but so far it hasn't happened yet. With my first girlfriend, I went from being a shy virgin who was honestly afraid of sex to being super into hardcore BDSM. She liked to bite hard, and it would leave bruises on my arms. One night she and I stayed at my parents' house. She slept in my bed, but my parents made me sleep on the couch. My mother comes into the living room in the morning, sees the bruises on my arms. My sleepy brain decides it can't think up an explanation and says she bites me, and I like it. My mother cried a lot. It was the last nail in the coffin of me still being her baby. She bites me, and I like it. What every mother wants to hear. I'm not a parent, but the kid. I was raised as the son of an engineer and a math teacher. I was always taught that technical fields were the best, the most money, the most applicable, the most real world, the most, etc. Engineers were the coolest and smartest people on the planet. Then I dated a wonderful girl for a long time. Her father was an artist and her mother a server, and they were divorced. Her major was psych. She taught me tons. I always respected this and knew this, but she brought it out. You have to follow your passions. Life is not about maximizing for some concrete value, that is, money, but rather life is about maximizing your total happiness. If you're following your passions, I greatly respect that regardless of the more concrete benefits. Of course, I'm following my passions and majoring in engineering with a minor in math. Go figure. For me, the concrete goals are taken care of. Because of this and because I respect her father for so avidly following his passions even without the concrete benefits, I want to help out with his daughter's education. What you said is true, and many don't realize, or even think about it, until much later in life. You also sound like a good guy. Not my child, but my best friend. She was the nicest person you'll ever meet and always so friendly. Anyway, she's had a string of bad relationships because she likes bad boys, and with each relationship she becomes less and less friendly and less kind, to the point that I now dread seeing her because she's become quite mean to me and a lot of her other friends. My youngest is 19 and just recently got involved with his first girlfriend. During high school, he never brushed his teeth, rarely showered, smelled awful, wore dirty clothes, and never brushed his hair. After he started seeing her, he is now doing the opposite of all those things. Honestly, I don't know what she saw in him, because he was so disgusting before they got together. Obviously I'm pleased with the changes, but he could have been doing so much better with the ladies before now if he had just given more care to his appearance. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.